Hey, Studio 47 here. Do a little video. When I get something on my mind, try to stick with it. When you look at that screen, it messes you up. It's backwards, like put your hand up, you don't know what side you're on. Okay, here we go. It's the end of February now, 2014. My mind's going to go back to a problem I had years and years ago, a long time ago. I've been a resident here for 50 years. And maybe I was here 5 years or something. Almost right away, built a house. There was a building, a shed domer, nice building. And in them days, you didn't have the laws and quite have them that you have today. And I said, this building I had to make it work. I had a couple of children and everything and a big bill. And I thought, well, I'm going to do something with that building. And I live in the land of the free, home of the brave. So I went ahead with it, and I thought, I'll fight the battle when the day comes. When the day comes, we'll fight the battle. Well, it went on for 5 years. And the day came. I come home, my wife said, building inspector was here today. He wants to talk to you. Well, the day has arrived. I went to see the man. I said to his wife, your husband would like to speak to me. And she said, he's feeding the ducks. I went over by the pond, little pond, and I introduced myself. And he said to me, how long you lived in Monroe, Skip? I said, 5 years or whatever it was. He says, I've lived here 55 years, let's say. Boy, you got a lot of balls. Do you drink? Yes. Let's go in the house and have a drink. We went in the house, had a drink. Man talks sensible. Said, I'm in trouble. He was a kind of a decent sort of guy. We got along good. By the time I left, I wouldn't say we were friends, but we were good. He says, he had told me, you got to have the tax assessor come in. Black man, wonderful man. Deep, booming voice, that English town auction, you'd hear that voice, you knew he was there. Oh, I would say to him, hello to him for years at English Town Auction afterwards. Tom Lawrence. Tom Lawrence put me on the tax books. I'm good. I'm legal. I'm good to go. I got away with it. To a degree. I got away with it. So now I know the building inspector now, and he's not a bad guy. And I asked, what could I build there? He says, why don't you build a gas station? Gas station? Whew. Gas station? So, but you could build something pertaining to the farm and all, like for selling. And so we pursued that. We put a building together. And the way we designed it, if it failed, of course I was 40 or 50 years ahead of the time. Who am I going to sell to? There's nobody come down Prineville Road hardly. Okay. But we designed it, if it had to become a building, a dwelling, it could. Well, sure enough, Well, it was there a couple years, 2-3 years. We sold some Christmas trees. Put a cold box in there thinking maybe some... Didn't work out. I was ahead of my time, just standing, doing nothing. I get a knock on the door. Guy wants to rent the building, wants to live in the building. I live in the land of the free. The building inspector was reasonable with me. It wouldn't take much to convert it that little bit, and we're good to go. It was set up right. The cold boxes out of the building, we're good. So we put a guy in here. He even did a little bit of work there so he could rent it. I'm reasonable landlord. You're doing business with me, I'm going to be good to you. You be good to me, I'll be good to you. We're good. Well, there was a young man in town, had a decent job and everything, but had aspirations to go big time, big time. He got that job. He got the building inspector's job. He drank. He's no good. I thought he was a nice, decent man of character. He drank, but he wasn't a bad man. So now I put that guy in here. Now this guy, he had big time ideas. He come down on me like a ton of bricks. Like a ton of bricks. I'm stuck. Now what? Whew. Bad. What do I have to do? That'd make me tear the buildings down. Tear them down. Ready to put a bullet in my head. Go down there to talk to them. They had me down and they stepped on me. They squashed me. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Gotta go before them and everything, formally and everything. What am I going to do? I went to see a lawyer. And he advised me. Here's what I'm suggesting that maybe you might do to have a chance. Go see this man. And that's how I met Bob. Went to see him. We talked a little. We talked about being in the service. We talked about my going to join the Marines in New Brunswick to join the Marines, and the guy wasn't there. He was coming back, and I was coming back. But the Navy guy seen me, he grabbed me. And I went in the Navy. Bob that I was talking to, he was something. He was something. And he took it upon himself that I'm going to try to help that man. Besides the business part. In business to make money. Do. Well, there was a meeting. No one showed up. We used to have the meeting in a shack. Second time, I worry. I've been worrying now for 3 months already. I go home and worry for another month. Time for the meeting. Bob and I show up. We don't have a meeting again. Bob wasn't sure. Bob wasn't sure what would transpire. They didn't show up. I'm worried to death. I gotta go home for another month and sit and wait and worry. He says, Bob says if they do it one more time, if they don't show up, we got him. I go home and I worry another month. Now how in the world is Bob? He's not sure himself. He's not sure himself. My vision into it is, I think, as I look back at it, he asked him. He asked them. Maybe don't show up. 4 or 5 people. I don't think he went down there and put a gun to their heads and told them that, no, don't come. I think he asked them. And they respected the man and did what they felt in their hearts. Well, the final meeting, the third, they didn't show up. That night, I was at the shack again. He said to me, we got him. We're good. Good? I go home and lay in that for another month. Another month. The night of the final one, they're not going to have it at the shack. They're going to have it at this, to me at that time, 40 years ago, big building. Gee, a lot of people, not pertaining to us, but pertaining to a development. A lot of people are going to be there and everything. And we went there. You got to show up. They're all sitting there in the front row, the enemy. Sitting there ready to see me get my lumps. And I was going to get my lumps by those people. They were going to give me my lumps. And Bob, knowing that we had won the stage, he leaped to the stage and he explained things to them. We were good. They come down on me. Oh, they still come down on me. Made me do this, made me do that. I did it. But they weren't on. The one guy, he was not an honorable man. And the way it ended, years and years later, terrible. Terrible. Not for me. For him. I survived. For him. It caught up with him. It caught up with him. And I don't wish that on anyone. Don't wish it on anyone, but it happened. Years and years later, if we could have looked into the future at that time, I'd see this man along the way of life for 30 years and he'd say hello to me. He wanted to be friendly. I didn't want to be friendly with him. Nah. I don't want to be your friend, or I'll barely say hello with wavy, and that's it. You're not my kind of man. Bob was my kind of man. So now, recently I realized, who Bob was. Is. Stunned. Died in 2001. And I thought to myself today, I'm going to go to that school and get a picture of that stage. Because I read the book, Bob's book, a number of books. I read the book, Helmet for My Pillow. Read the book and I says, still I was wondering, is it him? Must be so many things. Reading, that's Bob. That's him. The agility, the quickness. And I was thinking about how he jumped to that stage. Now the stage isn't that high. You're going to see the stage here in a minute. Stage isn't that high, but high enough. Go ahead. I'm 40, he's 50. He leaped to that stage. What a heck of a man. What a heck of a man in there. An honorable man. Read his book. You can see the honor. Oh. So that's the story. I'm going to take you to the school. You're going to see the stage that Bob leaped to. I went to the school. I go to the school. There's another school. More designed better. In them days, that was it. For our township, that was it. That school. They went from the shack to there. Beautiful. Now, this is totally inappropriate, this building here now. The design and all, more people. And it is inappropriate. It's almost like him shoved off his... I says, I got to go in that building. That's the building. So I tie between the two buildings. I go in there and I go toward that building, and they interrupted me. And good, I don't want to be walking around in there without permission or anything. Yeah, come with me and talk to this lady. Women are with their children, mothers, a couple of them in front of me, no problem. Talk to a lady, nice lady, who I am, 50 years, over 50 years here. Explain that I'd like to take a picture of that stage. I don't see any problem in that. She says, well, I said, I'd like to be escorted down there. I don't want to be wandering around. Oh, we'll put somebody with you. I says, thank you very much. Darling of a lady. Perfect. Just looking at her, you knew I could get along with that lady. She's a nice lady. So she puts me with another person and everything. Kind of a bossy voice right off the bat. Right off the bat. No problem. I got to go down some steps. I go down and say, be careful. You don't. I'm good. I'm good. We get there, and I looked, and I says, yeah, this is it. This is it. This is where he leaped. Now, I looked at it, and he says, not that high, but high enough. I couldn't. I'd like to see one of our kids jump up there. This man was 50, and he jumped, and he impressed me, startled me. I remember that to this day. And how did he win? To this day. I can only judge it by that. His nature, he must have asked them. And they did what he asked them. I wasn't right and everything, but he straightened it out. And I wasn't wrong either. I'm not wrong. Completely wrong. We've had government. We've gone too far. We need laws. We should have stopped here, but we kept going to the other end of the spectrum. So anyway, I sat down. I did the 1-minute video, quick, so you see the stage. Good. I go to leave, and I don't know. I can't stop talking. So the lady with this voice, and she was okay. She was... And all I started mumbling about government. I can't help myself. And she says to me, I work for the government. I guess you do. Thank God you got a job. I'm happy for you, you know. And I went out the door, and I'm done. And then I kind of wondered, how'd you get the job, baby? I don't know. And the governor fighting is 90% of everything that we're paying is going into taking care of all that kind of stuff. Police. I was robbed. I caught the robbers. Schools. My kids didn't get to go to these schools. Nothing. There, you have to have schools, certainly. No garbage collection, no water. Still my water, my pump. Those people that rent those buildings, any kind of problems, and I had some bad ones. I had some clunkers. Oh, my God. They didn't have any problems. The kid had the problems. I had to fight it. And the taxes keep going and going and going, and they don't know when to stop. And they won't give an inch. They're not going to give an inch. You ain't cutting us. We're not going to give up anything. 90% is going to it, but we'll just keep the engine going. We're okay. Keep paying it. Well, that's what Christie's saying. It isn't going to keep going. He's going to walk out of there and be done, and the problem's still going to be there. And eventually you can't keep spending like that no matter what. It's the jobs. Oh, it's gonna, yeah, some of the things will help. Now, Amazon being in the state of New Jersey and everything, it's gonna help. Yeah, some of them things are gonna help. If we did things right, we tried to produce a little more and everything, it would help, but we're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it when we got too many of everything. And it's been given to them. They got it coming. They're right. They signed it. They got it coming to them. We're not giving an inch. It won't work, though. It won't work. Okay, I took you through it. God bless America.
40 years later, Bob, and I at the time was about 40, he was 50, and his agility and quickness, he jumped to that stage. I walked up the steps, and I was 10 years younger.
Okay. Like I said, Bob was, I'm 81. Bob was 10 years older than me. He would have been 91, but he died in 2001, so it takes 13 years off of the 91, and it'd be like 78 years old. He must have died about 78 years old. Now, there was a picture I was trying to find, and I couldn't find it. I had him in like gym clothes. If he died at 78, my guess, he would have been about 70. He was like in gym clothes. He was a man that must have stayed in shape all of his life. I've got a picture of his dog tags. Picture of his dog tags. I put that in there. All right, then that's the end, really the end now, and I salute you, Mr. Robert Leckis, and may you rest in peace.
Okay, let's get things going. What I'm going to do today is I'm reading on the iPad the Helmet for My Pillow, and on one important part that I just wanted to record and then maybe edit and put it into just a piece of it. So I'm going to push the button here and
we scrambled aboard. Someone at last mustered the courage to inquire, "Where are we going, Sergeant?" "New River." The trucks drove off in silence. I remember Bello watching as we pulled away, and how astonished I was to see the sadness in his eyes. We arrived at New River in darkest night. We had come from South Carolina by rail. There had been a good meal in the diner, as there always was in train travel. We had slept in our seats, packs on the racks above us, rifles by our sides. They fell us out of the train with much shouting and flashing of lights.
after boot camp they went to New River.
All was shadowy. None of these yelling, rushing figures, the NCOs and officers who received us, seemed related to reality, except in those moments when a flashlight might pin one of them against the darkness. Black as it was, I was still able to gain the impression of vastness. The dome of heaven arching darkly overhead and stretching away from us. A limit. I detached myself from my platoon, ending in that motion my association with the majority of the men who had been my comrades for 6 weeks. I walked quickly into the lighted hut. An enlisted man bade me sit down opposite his desk.
This is the important part.
There were 3 or 4 others like him in the hut, similarly interviewing new arrivals. He asked questions rapidly, interested only in my answers, ignoring me. Name, serial number, rifle number, etc. All the dry detail that tells nothing of a man. What'd you do in civilian life? Newspaper, sports writer. Okay, 1st Marines, go out front and tell the sergeant. That was how the Marines classified us. The questions were perfunctory. The answers were ignored. Schoolboy, farmer, scientist of the future.
Electrician.
All were grist to the reception.
My father maybe did a little bit of electrical work.
1st Marines. There were no aptitude tests, no job analyses. In the 1st Marine Division, the presumption was that a man had enlisted to fight. No one troubled about civilian
That day
competence.
that I went to New Brunswick,
It may have been
when
a
the guy
front to
wasn't
those
there.
vestiges of civilian self-esteem which Paris Island had not had time to destroy. But New River would soon take care of that. Here, the only talent was that of the foot soldier. The only tool, the handgun.
And that's it.
Here, the cultivated, the oblique, the delicate
I'm gonna
soon
stop it here.
perished, like gardenias in the desert.
My point being that you have turning points in your life. An incident, a little thing, will turn everything around. Be the biggest crossroad in your life. I go to New Brunswick. He wasn't there. The Marine guy wasn't there. The Navy guy seen me. Hey, wait a minute. Well, I'd go in the Navy if they took me right away. And he convinced me, and okay, they're going to take me right away. And then eventually in boot camp, ours was in boot camp, and I went before an officer. The middle of the boot camp marks were reasonable. Aptitude tests reasonable, a little bit. What'd your father do? What do you want to be? I don't know. What'd your father do? Electrical, jack of all trades. What do you want to be an electrician? I became an electrician, and my sons became electricians. You know, and in Bob's case, the Marine Corps, the guy was there. He went in the Marine Corps. Here he was a writer to begin with, a sports writer to begin with when he first went in. And boot camp right through. Then when he went to New River or whatever, he finally goes before an officer and they're deciding where they're going to put you. What you do, sports writer, first Marine, put him in there, that's it. Send him to the front. No aptitude tests, no nothing. The attitude was you enlisted, you're going there. And that's what happened to Bob, and he was lucky to come home alive. But up me, there was three of us. I went in the Navy, the second guy went in the Navy, the third guy went in the Marines and was killed. So the Marines had a nicer uniform, and they are an honorable outfit, boy. Oh man, you could be proud to have been in the United States Marine Corps. And that's the story. Take care of yourself.